through the choices Halder is led to make, or makes, depending on how you look at it, he ends up unconsciously, or maybe not so unconsciously, betraying, letting down his friend. And the urgency and the strength of the consequences of that are really what make the film so palpable, so strong, so poignant. He is asked to write a paper about euthanasia, which on hindsight we know he probably shouldn't have written. But if you put yourself in Halder's place, watching the movie, you know he doesn't really, or he thinks he doesn't really have a choice. And that is the first choice he makes that leads to another choice, which is joining the Nazi Party and the SS and becoming an inspector, not only for the T4 euthanasia program, but actually for the concentration camps. Put so briefly, it seems like a huge leap from literature professor to concentration camp inspector. But following the movie, following the story, you actually understand his choices, and that's what's so scary, because on hindsight we know his choices are wrong, but following his story you accept each one of his choices, and that leads us to the choices we make ourselves in everyday life. Halder in the film has visions, hallucinations, you might call it, or see it in different ways, which are really heralds of his unconscious trying to make him wake up, look around, and see what's happening. But he doesn't. These pieces, which are all songs of Mahler, sung by characters in the film, are a very, I think, original way of posing this question, not only to Halder but to the audience. At the end, with the last piece, I think Halder and the audience will have an epiphany at the same time, or hopefully that will happen, and then they will understand why or how he should have listened before, but he didn't. And I think it's one of the things that makes the film very, very original. I don't want people to perceive Good as a period film. It should be perceived as something that could be happening to us today. I think John Halder, being such a normal man, a family man, a father, a lover, a friend, is really a lot like all of us. Good is a film set in Germany in the 1930s, but I don't think, or hopefully people will, when they're watching it, won't feel like they're transported back in time. They will feel like what they're seeing is happening today, not by being obtusely modern and contemporary, but by highlighting the modernity of the period, and through obviously the production design and the photography, but more than that, especially by the contemporary relevance of the drama. Really, the story we're telling is a story that could be happening today, and to try to mask it within a whole flourish of exaggerated period references would only bury it and hide its relevance to a modern audience. There's no reason to do that, because Germany in the 30s was incredibly modern and thus very close to what we live today in all senses, not only the story sense, but visually, artistically, even emotionally. Viggo Mortensen has sort of a very gentle masculinity about him that makes him very human, very much like everyone. Although he's very handsome, he's very normal at the same time, and we need someone like him to play the part of Halder. I mean, without him, I don't think the film would have the scope and the poignancy that it has. Jason Isaacs is certainly the best choice for Morris because I think Jason and Morris are almost the same person. I'm not sure how much Jason is actually playing a character when he's playing Morris. He is so close to the character. He's so full of life, so full of energy, so outspoken, so controversial, so difficult in the good sense of the word, that he is a perfect choice to play a Jew in 1930s that we're not portraying as a victim. Jodie is a life force. She's so lively. She is so lovable. She is so engaging that that she gives Anne what we need, which is forgiving her for all the misconceptions that on hindsight we know